Hello, my name is Casey Bernstein, and I would like to provide for you stretches for the hip joint. My suggestions, if you're going to participate in this session, is to have a strap. This is a yoga strap. You don't need a yoga strap if you have a belt, if you have a tie to a bathrobe, if you have a karate strap, if you have a towel, if you have some rope. Any of those things might be beneficial to you. These are yoga blocks. I have these yoga blocks. If you had, say, a shoebox, something that could create a little bit of support, the requirement would be that they're both level. So you wouldn't want two different types of boxes. You would want the same kind of box that is equal. And the other thing I would suggest is some blankets. These are cotton blankets that have some support. So a mushy fleece blanket is not ideal, but a firmer type of blanket would be great. And then also a chair would be handy too in this very beginner session. This session will take place on the floor. Please take it at your own pace. As we talk about the hip joint, we're going to be playing with and sensing and moving the 4 different ways that our leg connects into the hip joint. First of all, we have the quadricep muscles, the muscles to the front of the leg. We have the IT band here that comes from the gluteal muscle down into the lower leg. We have the hamstrings on the back of the leg, and then we have the muscles of the inner thigh, the adductor muscles. And depending on where your tightness is, you might find a variety of sensations as we work into this. Again, I recommend you please take this at your own pace. If you could slowly come on down to the floor so that you support your back. I'm going to rest the sacrum on the floor here. Let me make sure I'm in the mirror too. And I'm going to lift my legs up and start by bringing the knees around in a circle. Part of this video, there may be some echo. It is my studio space that I'm in right now. So please adjust your volume as needed. So I'm going to start off by rolling on my back to create some movement to reduce some stiffness and get things going. Then I'm going to let the pelvis, the sacral area, the lower back rest on the floor, and I'm going to take my knees and do something that's called row the boat. So I'm going to imagine my knees are like 2 oars, and this is a really great way to start to get mobility into the hip joint. I'm going to take the knees and now reverse the row of the boat. As we get into the 4 different sides of the leg, what will also affect it is having the knee bent or having the knee joint open. That will determine, again, how these muscles of the leg connect into the lower leg and also affect the hip joint. So we're doing a nice warm up here, and then we're now going to take our hands over our shins, and this is called close the book and open the book. And this is a nice warm up here to get moving and stay safe on the floor, but opening the hip joint and closing the hip joint. Opening, inhale, and exhale. And we want to provide some breath as we do this, which provides additional stimulation of the body and also helps guide us in making sure that we are listening to our body with our breath instead of fighting against it. I'm going to rest here and place 1 foot on the floor, and this is where I'm now going to open up the knee with the use of the strap. So I'm going to take the strap here and lasso it to the ball of my foot, stabilize the other side of my body here with the foot and the hand, and now start to play with a range of motion. Ideally, the knee joint is lengthened and open. It is not hyperextended, and ideally right now it is not bent, but it is open, which is going to affect the hamstring and the IT band, everything there into the leg. So I create a little bit here of range of motion to warm up the hip joint. Then on my back, I'm going to lift the leg up into the air and separate the strap. And this now allows me the opportunity to start to stretch my hamstring muscles here. If the hamstrings are tight, let's play with the breath here of inhaling and exhaling. I move that navel point down. Inhale and exhale. So when I exhale and my navel point goes down, it creates more stability to allow me to stretch. What happens here is I relax the quadriceps and then I engage them, and the strength and the engagement of the quadriceps allows me to open up through the hamstrings. And then I'm here, and now I'm going to sustain and open up the other leg. Now, you may not be able to get to 90 degrees from the pubic bone, but that's okay. Just find the position, the angle that will work for you to start to keep that leg straight. And then I take a moment and breathe. My elbows are broad, so my chest stays open. Now from here, I'm going to take the leg into another position. I'm going to hold on to the strap, same hand, same foot, bring the other hand out to the side, slide my hands down through the strap, and make a fist. So my fist, my wrist, and my arm are all in alignment, so I'm not over flexing the wrist. And I turn out my toes in my heel, so now I get a rotation into the head of the femur that is in the hip joint and gets the stretch here into my inner thigh while I'm on the back. I want to use my navel point, pressing down, and avoid tipping with the other hip. Take another breath and lift up, and now I'm going to switch the strap into the other hand. This is straight up and down. I'm now going to move it over to the side, and I can feel this really nice stretch into my IT band, which is from the gluteal muscle down the outer thigh and attaches to the lower leg. So I push through my heel, take the foot off the midline of the body, and create that stretch. I'm going to take one more breath here, inhale and exhale. I bring it up, I find my hamstring again, pull the knee in, and release the leg down. I'm going to inhale my other foot up, lasso here at the ball of the foot. This is my stable side of the body, and now I'm going to play with that range of motion that again allows me to warm up the hip joint. Watch my chair there. Warm up the hip joint, and also play with that breath and stability at the core of the body. These circles, if your hip joint is very tight, is just simply keep it small, but still invite in the mobility. And we have a relationship with the weight of the leg, the use of the strap, and the support through the hand. Just a little bit more of the circles for mobility, get things moving. And then from here, I'm going to start to activate the stretch of the hamstring by engaging the quadricep muscles at the front of the thigh. I inhale, and on the exhale, press the navel point down and press through the heel. And I can sense that quadricep strengthening to create the support for the stretch. I'm here, I sustain, take an inhale and press out through the other leg. Again, just find the place where your legs can be straight and push through the heels. Take a moment and breathe. Now I'm going to switch hands with the strap, And once again, my hand, my wrist, and my forearm aligns, but I'm going to slide the hand through the strap and push through the heel and rotate the foot out. So again, I get some action in my hip joint. This foot stays straight and the pelvis is level. Point being, I don't want to tilt over. That would be cheating and be counterproductive to the action I want to create in this hip joint over here. I'm going to take an inhale and lift the leg up, switch the strap into the other hand and push through. So instead of being on midline, I now bring the heel and the foot over to off midline to the other side of the body. And once again, I can sense that strong stretch to my outer hip there. And again, it all depends on where your tightness resides within relationship to your hip joint. I inhale the leg up. Once again, play with another hamstring stretch, and then I pull the knee in and pull the strap off. From here, let's roll on to our belly, because we've stretched and activated 3 parts there, but now I need to stretch through the quads, the psoas muscle, and the hip flexor. So all we're going to do to start off with is, once you see this, is rest your head, your forehead, on your hands and just simply bend at the knee. Inhale and then exhale. And this starts to contract the hamstrings, but stretch through the quadriceps at the front of the thighs. Inhaling and exhaling. And now take a moment and stay. Point the toes to the ceiling as best you can, and rest and breathe and broaden the groin area down to the floor to stretch through the front of the hips. Take an inhale and then exhale, and now we'll do it from the other angle where I come up here onto my elbows and point the toes. Now I like to look around in this position. I feel a lot of sensation in my pelvis as I move my head and neck. I'm not tilting right now. I'm just simply using my eyes to look around so I can stretch through the front of my hip joint. And depending on your body, I can take this yawn a little bit further. I can inhale, press the navel point in, and lift up a little bit more. Be careful of the back, press through the sternum, and then release down. So now I'm going to combine a couple things. I'm going to bend my knee and reach out. This is called the creeping position. It's like I was scaling a mountain. And you can see here I'm opening up this hip, and then I can bend the other leg. And once again, I can bend the knee and open the knee, which creates this movement of opening up my hip. On one side, the adductors stretching and the quadricep on the other. From here, I can lay it down, reach out my long hand, and then from here, roll over into a spinal twist. Now with this first spinal twist, my knee is bent. I can sense the bending of my knee. And then if I want, I can open up that knee, and that once again will stretch the IT band here. And I can take a moment and breathe. Whenever we do a spinal twist, it's really, really great, brings out tension through the body. All your extremities should be touching the floor. If this hand is up in the air, just simply rest it on your hip. Don't have it flailing out into the air. I'm going to take a moment and deepen that stretch, push through that heel, which stretches this IT band, and on the inhale, I come up. From here, I'm going to bring my other knee up and pull into this position here. I can hold on to my inner knee. If you're flexible enough, go to the ball of the foot. and even more flexible into the edge of the foot. It doesn't matter. What you want to accomplish here is get the sensation of this upward squat where my feet are lifted and I can gently and create firm pressure to pull down to open up the hip joint here. Don't pitch your head back, keep your sacrum reaching, and give that a nice pull. I'm going to release and now roll over onto the other side. This means I'm going to bend this other knee in this position, create some movement. Here, lay down, and once again, bend the knee, straighten the knee. Bend and straighten. Couple more times. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. I'm going to reach out with my other hand and then once again roll into a knee bent spinal twist. So I start off there. Once again, I can kind of shimmy and organize my upper body. Make sure your extremities are touching something, your hands and your feet. And then to build on the stretch for the hip, I can straighten that leg, and that gives me, again, that nice stretch through the IT band. And I simply breathe. Inhale, exhale, 3. Inhale, exhale, 2. Inhale, exhale, 1. I can bring the leg up, there's my hamstring, and then once again, I come into this, what it's called is a happy baby position, or bring your knees together if that is too tight for your hips. Okay, now from here, what I would like to recommend is you can take the opportunity to, this is the purpose for the blocks or the boxes, is to open up the hip joint. You can create support for yourself. You can lay down and simply create support. Because if you just lay down and let the knees flail in the air, something is holding them up. But if you have something available to let the outer knee rest, this will start to relax. And I can breathe here. Another thing would be to bring the arms up in what's called the gold pose position. Your elbows should be touching the ground. If your elbows are up in the air, you've gone too far for your shoulders. Simply bring the arms down so that they are touching. And this can be a really nice open and restorative position to let the hip joints open naturally. I can inhale, exhale, 3. Inhale, exhale, 2. Inhale, exhale, 1. I'm going to bring my hands down, hold on to the haunches, and support my legs coming back up. Then I can pull my knees in and roll around. I'm going to come over to my side and then do a position of opening up that hip joint with the use of blankets. Now, if you sit on the floor and your knees are really high, that and the back is swaying and rounding, we want to find the position where the knees, once again, can open. So this is where blankets can come in really handy. I'm going to take these firm blankets here and hop up onto the blanket and then see, and then if I can get the soles of my feet together. The ideal is to keep the hips at the level of the pelvis. This is in what's called a tailor position. This is called bound angle, or I can switch it on the side. But from here, I want to allow the knees to start to relax. I'm going to come back into this equal bound angle position and take a moment and churn so that I can loosen up the pelvis and create circulation. Then from here, I inhale and I'm going to exhale, releasing over. You can place your elbows into the inner knee. You can place your hands on your feet to splay it open and let the head release. Take an inhale and come on up. From here, roll onto your knees, and hopefully your knees are healthy enough to hold you. Make sure you have padding if you need it. And from here we go into a cat and cow. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale, riding the pelvis over the head of the femur. I'm going to bear weight into my hands and play with mobility on this side, this leg. So I have mobility on one hip joint and stability on the other. And then switch. Range of motion, stability through that knee and the hands. And then for some strength work, I settled the knee down, press through the heel, toes down, and hold balance. So I'm pressing through the heel and creating the stretch and stability of the other side. Please release and let's switch to the other side. Press out through the heel, make sure the leg is parallel with the floor and reach out. This is wonderful core work for the body. Take another breath, extend, and then please bring it in. This is where a chair can come in handy. If you're very tight, is I'm going to lean into the chair and place one leg here and start to open up the hip joint. Switch legs, open up the hip joint, and then I'm going to bear weight into my chair here and push up. So now with the support of the chair, I can stretch. I'm going to do toes out, sink, toes front, stretch, sink, and stretch. And then from here, and I do have to tell you, squatting is one of the best things that you can do. If you can take something stable like your kitchen sink, hopefully that's really stable into the wall, and hold on to that for support and allow that to give you the opportunity to have some support while you sink and rise to, again, really open up through the hip joint. And then the best is to start to allow the strength and flexibility to occur in your own hip joints and through the power of your legs. And one more time, and here we go. Thank you. Join me again.